Hello everyone, I hope you're doing well. Today I want to share with you some tips and recipes for an easy but elegant dinner party. Now this could be a dinner party for one or a dinner party for six. I'm serving a red bell pepper soup for the first course, sage chicken with Brussels sprouts for the main course, and a pink champagne cake for the grand finale. If you are the host as well as the cook, then I think you will find this menu is very friendly. All of the dishes can be made well ahead of time. On to the soup. And the first ingredient you need is a large onion. You want to peel and just roughly chop the onion. Now peel and roughly chop 1.5 pounds of russet potatoes. That's like 3 medium-sized russets or 2 large russets. And the potatoes are going to give this soup a creamy consistency without the need for any actual cream. Now roughly chop 4 large red bell peppers. That's about 2 pounds of peppers. And I cut them this way so that seeds don't go flying all over the place. I just cut down the wall. I should mention that this soup is delicious at any temperature. I even love it cold from the fridge. It's great for breakfast. Now I'm going to move you over to the stove top. So now put a large soup pot or a 5-quart Dutch oven over medium-low heat. Add 2 tablespoons of butter and about 2 tablespoons of olive oil. Add the onions to the pot, along with 5 cloves of garlic or 5 teaspoons of garlic paste. Then add the potatoes and the red bell pepper. For seasonings, add 2 teaspoons of dried thyme leaves, 2 teaspoons of salt, and several grinds of black pepper. Stir to coat and then cover the pot and let the veggies steam until they are perfectly tender. That's going to take about 20 minutes. All right, the potatoes are fork tender. So now we're going to puree this soup. I'm going to puree the soup in my Vitamix blender, but you of course could use an immersion blender here. Either way, you will need to add some chicken stock or some vegetable stock. So what I have here is 4 cups of chicken stock, and I'm going to add about half of it to my blender jar. This smells great. By the way, Mr. Fox came into the kitchen while the red bell pepper mixture was steaming in the pot, and he said, "Oh, what's that great smell?" So it's a very fragrant soup. All right, I'm going to wash out my Dutch oven, and then we'll come right back. All right, my Dutch oven is washed out. So now return the soup to the pot. It's very thick. And add the remaining chicken stock. Stir that in. Now, if you are making this soup ahead of time, as I am, the only thing you need to do is let it cool to room temperature, and then cover it with the lid and pop it into the refrigerator. You can make this soup 2, 3, even 4 days ahead of time. And how great it is to know that your first course is already made. And before you serve it, you simply bring it to a simmer. onto the pink champagne cake. And you'll be glad to know that you don't have to use actual pink champagne. You can use a blush Prosecco or any blush sparkling wine. Now for the cake, you will need a 12-cup capacity bundt pan. And that's like just normal capacity. And you want to grease and flour the pan really well, or take the easy route and just spray it with baking spray. Baking spray contains flour. Next, center the oven rack and preheat the oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. That's 176 degrees Celsius. Now, put 3½ cups of regular all-purpose or plain flour in a medium bowl. And I did weigh this out, and it is 500 grams of flour. Then add 1 teaspoon of baking soda and a ½ teaspoon of baking powder and 3/4 teaspoon of regular table salt. Give it a whisk and then set this aside. For the wet ingredients, put 1 cup or 226 grams of softened butter in a mixing bowl. I'm using my stand mixer. You could use handheld electric beaters if you like. Then I'm going to add 450 grams of sugar. That would be 2¼ cups of sugar. Then I'm going to beat this until the mixture turns light and fluffy. That's going to take about 5 minutes. All right, the butter and sugar have turned light and fluffy. So now I'm going to beat in 4 large eggs, one at a time. Then I'm going to scrape down the bowl. Beat this again briefly. Now beat in 1 cup or 240 grams of sour cream. Now beat in 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. 1, 2, and 1 teaspoon of strawberry extract. Smells really good. All right, it's time to open the pink champagne, which in this instance is not actually champagne. This is some really inexpensive blush sparkling wine or Prosecco. Here we go. Happy New Year. And we're going to measure out 1 cup or 236 ml. At low speed, add the dry ingredients in 3 additions, alternating with the champagne, beginning and ending with the flour. The pink champagne did not exactly turn this batter pink, so I have some pink food coloring here. We're going to try to give this batter a little blush. So add a little at a time. You guys, this batter smells like strawberry champagne. It's a heavenly perfume. So now, tip the batter into the bundt pan. And then there is a little trick to make this cake rise evenly. And what you do is pull the batter away from this central tube so that the batter is higher toward the rim of the pan. And there we have it. I really want to lick this spatula. I'm going to try to be good. I'm going to bake this until a skewer inserted into the cake comes out clean. That's going to take about 1 hour. So I bought these heat-proof gloves at a local shop the other day. What an improvement over those ratty oven mitts you've seen me using. So here's the cake, and as you can see, that even though I pulled the batter away from the center and toward the walls of the pan, it still rose more in the center. That's perfectly fine. I'm going to let this cool for 10 minutes and then we can unmold it. The recipe for this cake will be on my website, and I'll put a link to the recipe in the description below. It's the moment of reckoning. I'm going to unmold the cake onto an appropriately colored cake stand. Say a prayer. Voila! Now, because the cake rose higher in the center than on the sides, it actually looks like it is floating on this cake stand. So maybe we should call this a levitating pink champagne cake. You can make this cake a day or two ahead of serving time. You can even freeze the cake for up to 6 months. Now, I'm going to let the cake cool completely, and then I will glaze it. Good morning. It's the next day. I put the cake in the refrigerator overnight. Again, this thing smells just wonderful. So now I'm going to glaze the cake. What I have here is 1.5 cups or 150 grams of confectioner's sugar, and I did sift the sugar. Now I'm adding just enough water to make a thick but pourable glaze. Now, for the sake of tidiness, before I glaze the cake, I'm going to put some little strips of parchment paper on the cake stand like this, so that when I glaze the cake, the glaze doesn't run down onto the glass. You could use wax paper here. Well, I think this cake looks like $1 million. Once the glaze has set up, I will remove the parchment. For the main course, I'm fixing chicken and Brussels sprouts. I found these Brussels sprouts at my local farm store. They are huge. And what I'm doing is just cutting the sprouts lengthwise in half, and then I'm throwing the halves into a bowl. I'm also trimming any discolored part of the stem end. Now, drizzle the Brussels sprouts with some extra virgin olive oil. Give them a sprinkling of salt. And some grinds of black pepper. And toss. The oil is going to encourage the Brussels sprouts to caramelize in the oven. Transfer the sprouts to a baking sheet onto the chicken. For the chicken, I have 8 thighs, bone in, skin on. These are small thighs because they came from a local source. They're not those Gonzo factory chicken thighs. And you want to dry them really well. And then I'm going to stuff them with fresh sage leaves. I've actually done this before on a video, but I figured, you know, this is an October dinner party. This is a great main course. Okay, now lift the skin. Let's make a little pocket and slip a sage leaf between the chicken and the chicken skin, like that. All right, I've transferred the chicken to my plastic board here, and I'm just giving them a short drizzle of olive oil. Then I'm going to brush that on. I'll season the chicken generously with salt and pepper. I'm going to move you over to the stove top because I want to brown the chicken skin. Now for the crispiest chicken skin, you'll want to brown the chicken skin side down in a hot skillet for 30 to 45 seconds. Then transfer the chicken to the baking sheet. The great thing about this dish is that you can completely assemble it on the morning of your dinner party. Just cover it with plastic wrap and pop it into the refrigerator. Then, about 30 minutes before your guests arrive, pop it into a 425-degree oven, that's 218 degrees Celsius, for 20 to 25 minutes. Since all of the food is made, I have time to prepare a flour arrangement, and I'm going to put the arrangement in the soup tureen. To the soup tureen, I'm adding water and flour food. To hold the arrangement in place, I'm using coated chicken wire. For greenery, I'm using stems of boxwood and ivy that I cut from my garden. For flowers, I'm using white hydrangeas, purple chrysanthemums, and dusky pink carnations. The flowers were not expensive. I bought them from my local supermarket. Well, for supermarket flowers and bits and bobs from my garden, I think this arrangement looks pretty darn good. You can't go wrong with blue and white. This is Spode Italian. I'm going to link these plates in the description below. They're really beautiful. I'm placing a Spode Italian soup plate on top of each dinner plate. Knife and soup spoon on the right, dinner fork on the left, and a dessert fork above the plate. Bread plates are from my collection of Liberty Blue. Then I'm placing the wine and water goblets. Everyone should have a signature napkin fold. This is mine. Here's the game plan. Shortly before your guests arrive, put the soup over very low heat on the stove. Also, preheat the oven to 425 degrees Fahrenheit, which is 218 degrees Celsius. Then, go enjoy a cocktail with your guests. When you are ready to serve the soup, go ahead and put the chicken and Brussels sprouts in the preheated oven. I like to garnish each serving of soup with a dollop of creme fraiche and a small sprig of dill. My policy is to plate the soup before calling guests into the dining room. I'm putting the chicken and Brussels sprouts on a large platter so that guests can serve themselves. This soup is heavenly. Well, I already know that the chicken and Brussels sprouts are delicious because I've made that dish so many times. So let me go right into the pink champagne cake. I'm serving this with a little whipping cream. This is truly incredible. You can taste that whisper of pink champagne. I mean, it doesn't scream champagne at all, but it's there just subtly. And the cake itself is very moist. Thank you for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed this Make Ahead menu and that you will try the recipes. I will link the recipes in the description below. I hope you will give this video a big thumbs up. And please subscribe if you have not already, and be sure to tap the little bell icon to receive notifications every time I upload a new video. Again, thank you so much for watching. I will see you next time. Bye for now.